Thank you. Thank you, Alex, and good afternoon, everyone, again. So I am here at home, working with the children, but I'm excited to follow up from our last meeting in November. December, I think you all had a holiday party. So Rashi and I decided to tailor our presentation to some of the questions that we received from last month in November. And so that is where we're going to pick up today. We introduced some senior communities, but then we thought it might be best to kind of go backwards to talk about a timeline for how to prepare for your move and who to call to address certain topics. And then when we come back, we do have a lender already on standby. One of the follow-up questions was about reverse mortgages. And if you were in a position to sell, or if you have a friend or family member that's in a position to sell, how to kind of help navigate with the proceeds, with the equity, with living trusts, even the qualifications and stipulations for using Medicaid. So we have some of that coming as well. So let me go on here. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to pull my presentation up. Thank you for your patience.
Will Rashi be coming on today, Kristen?
Rashi was on travel, and I think that he was delayed with this snow.
Yes, a lot of
So
folks.
unfortunately, I haven't been able to confirm with him today. So I can only assume that he's en route on his flight. So I'm not positive.
Okay, no problem. I will just keep an eye out in the participants if he comes on, okay?
Okay, thank you. All right. Can everyone see my screen now? Can you give me a thumbs
Yes,
up? Or
you're
okay.
good to go.
All right. So again, we're Innovative Touch Realty. We're here in the Washington, D.C. area. We practice real estate in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. And a big part of our brokerage is community partnership, ongoing education, and emerging trends. So even if we don't have the answer to the question, we are dedicated to finding out the answer for you. We're not the best person to answer the question. We're dedicated to connecting you with those persons. And our vision is what guides us through that to make sure that we are serving our community ethically. All right, so that's me, and that's Rashi again. And last time we did talk about the differences between condominiums and apartment style, as well as the options for aging in place. I was a teacher, and so I always kind of do a recap so to make sure that everyone is clear on where we just came from. And so here are some of the questions that we had and some of the answers. So one of the questions that was posed in November, can an aide or personal nurses or personal nurse live with you in assisted living communities? And so we did survey several communities before answering this question to see if it was specific for just one community. And the overwhelming answer that we received from the communities that we surveyed are yes. And this question was posed in relation to someone who may be a family member posed this question on behalf of another family member who has early onset dementia. And they thought it was important that the person who had been working with their loved one stay with them to have that continuity. Was important to ensure that they continue to thrive. And so the answer to that question was yes. Then there was a question about Medicaid and how you can pay for some of these communities. So there are senior communities that are that have a ceiling for the payment price of 30%. And those that would be considered the lower income housing. That specifically, there are some specific communities in DC for seniors, and then there are mixed use communities, so that everyone in the building may not be 55 or 62 and older, but they have dedicated units within that building specifically for seniors, and it cannot cost more than 30% of your income. But then there is also a Medicaid option. With the Medicaid option, to utilize Medicaid for payment, then you would have to exhaust your funds of any assets that you have. So if you have assets that will put you above that 30% threshold, then you would have to liquidate that. So, oh, you're very welcome. Yes, ma'am. And then with Medicaid, say for instance, the scenario being that you or your loved one is selling your house to move into a senior community, 55 and older, and you would like to use Medicaid to assist with your payment. They would look at the amount that you make for the proceeds of your sale, and they count that as part of your income. So if that boosts you up beyond the threshold of the income requirements for that building, then you would not be able to use Medicaid. So how to use Medicaid and still benefit from the proceeds of your sale, that would be a question for the CPA, or as I mentioned earlier, that we do have a lender that is interested in coming to join with us and speaking with you, as well as a attorney that works with wills, and they can help navigate that as well. But if it's a large amount of proceeds, then it is very challenging to utilize Medicaid, although it exists as an option. Okay. Another question was, how can assistance be provided to moving into fixed income senior housing? So there are several community organizations that partner, that assist with the move, and we'll cover a few of those today more in detail. And then the one of the last questions was, how fast can I move into a senior community? So this is where we created our projected timeline. So all of the communities have waiting lists, and the waiting lists vary depending on the community, the location, the number of units, but they all have somewhat of a waiting list. Now, some waiting lists move pretty quickly, and you can move in within a month or so, while other communities, the waiting lists are 9 to 12 months. So what we're presenting today, you are going to kind of have a timeline to work backwards. I'm sorry, my the one in the background. Okay, so how we have organized this presentation is the organization time, the maintenance and paperwork time, the packing and decluttering time, as well as the move time, and what you can expect within those this framework, and then some partnering organizations that can help you within each of these 4 quarters. So the first is organizing in your mind that you want to move. We suggest that you anticipate 9 to 12 months out. So you're at the position where maybe you made all the modifications you can on your home, or you want to move to a different part of the city, whatever the scenario may be. Anticipate 9 to 12 months out. So the first thing that we will ask of you to do as realtors, or even some of the community organizers, would be to identify your needs. We can best help when we know what your budget is, how much you can afford with your monthly payments, how much you're paying now. Do you have room to come up? Do you need to come down? Or are you going to stay about the same? The location, are you moving within your community, within the same neighborhood, or are you looking to move to a different part of the city, a different ward? The size of the home, do you need a 1 bedroom? Do you prefer a studio? Do you need to have a second room? You have a second room for your yoga room, for your sewing room, whatever your activity is, and you say you really need a 2 bedroom. Then all of those things we take into consideration, as well as, are you anticipating extended care? Are you anticipating having a surgery in the near future where you would need assisted living? Or would you like to move once, never move again, and you want to have all the services provided for you from there? So that way we know where the community that we're looking in, if those services are provided, or if we need to partner with another organization to see if there's a MedStar on site or nearby, or whatever your needs are for medical. During this time, so this is 9 to 12 months out, you all. Also during this time, we would identify the housing, make a list of prospective homes, and then identify at least 3 homes or housing facilities, and then start organizing, considering what you are going to take, what you're going to get rid of, narrowing down, kind of going down with your bulk trash, identifying those days and needs. So now the resources to do that. So some of the resources that we, organizations we partner with our clients, we do have a professional organizer that we work with, and she, can provide her own presentation. But with that professional organizer, it helps to make it less overwhelming. Oftentimes, our clients have lived in their house for 20 years or more. You lived in the same place for a few decades, and it can be overwhelming to pare down. And so starting 9 to 12 months out, working with a professional organizer or working with a loved one to really start organizing room by room can really help to decrease the stress. And that's what we're all about. Stress-free, a carefree move. We do not want it to be overwhelming. So that's a good place to start. Within our brokerage, we assist with this as well. It's not an additional cost. Again, within our brokerage, it is something that we take pride in, helping our clients to make it stress-free. And this is a big part of it, the things, the stuff, the items. And then also, this is a good time to call bulk trash and bulk recycling. So if you're in an apartment or in a building with more than 4 units, then you will call 311 and then identify it with as an apartment building. You will call the same number, and I'm sure some, if not all of you, have utilized these services before for bulk trash. And right now, bulk trash is running about 2 weeks away from the call. So they are not picking up immediately unless somebody, knows otherwise, if someone has had a different experience with bulk trash. But typically, it takes about 2 weeks for them to come and address those needs. So this would be step one, 9 to 12 months out from your move. So now we're moving backwards, right? So you've done that with the and now okay, so I have some agreement with bulk trash. And when you call them, please try to think of everything as much as possible for them to take. It's challenging, but it definitely is cheaper to go to bulk trash route. We have ordered the big dumpsters for clients before. And those dumpsters do cost anywhere from $375 up to $900. So if by chance you have the need for a dumpster, then this is a great opportunity to pair in with a neighbor and split the costs. So if you live in a home and you have the need for a dumpster, this is a great time to split the cost with family or friends and do it that way. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. She said that they take 7 pieces at a time for with the bulk trash. All right, so the next thing that we advise for our clients are repairs. So if you are in a position where you're moving and you're selling your home, to list it or lease it, your current home, then this is a wonderful time to start addressing some of the repairs to maximize your profit. We suggest that you talk with your agent before making any repairs because we do not want you to make any unnecessary repairs that a new buyer is going to come in and change anyway. For instance, I had two clients that are sisters and they're both over 55. And they had a house that their childhood home that they grew up in, and it was on radiator heat. And the radiator was no longer working. And they wanted to fix, I'm sorry, I'm plugging up my computer. They wanted to repair the radiator heat. And that would have been an expense that was really not necessary, as most of the buyers now are looking for central air. And so they would have replaced the heat and someone would have come right back in and gotten central air, and it would have been thousands of dollars that they didn't necessarily need to spend. And so that was some of the advice that we gave them as agents. And they had a wonderful buyer come who was a contractor and he knew how to do the work anyway. So they saved the money in their pocket, saving thousands of dollars. So please, before you make any extreme repairs, talk with your agent to check. Okay, one moment. Let me go. Oops, I think I'm going back. Okay, now I'm going back too far. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, there we go. So for repairs, this is another opportunity for feedback because you all would know better than me, possibly if you've utilized some of the services I'm more familiar with than others. The Department of Energy, they are providing a free service for lead pipe repair with if your lead pipe that is on the private property that is connected to the public property pipe. Whereas before they were paying 50% of the cost for that lead pipe repair. Now they are offering up to 100%, especially for seniors. If you have an issue with that outward bound lead pipe, then you could contact the Department of Energy. The Senior Home Repair Program is a partnership with Youth Build Charter School. And so this charter school is an alternative school for DC residents ages 16 to 24. And they're teaching skills for home renovations, for construction. And with that partnership, they are working with the city to repair homes of seniors as well as low-income residents. Now, that program, the second program, is different than the single-family residential home program. Now, this is the one that I need to know if anyone is on the waiting list for, because there is an article that the Washingtonian published last year about this waiting list, which was at the time 2 to 3 years. Some residents have been waiting. I know, isn't that terrible? I saw you, Miss Brenda. I mean, it's like, you're waiting and you're trying to see if it is worth going in your pockets, but you have government money on the way, but you don't know when that money is coming. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Alex. And there's our article in the chat that Alex has for the lead pipe repair program. But the single family residential home program, I read in that article for the Washingtonian that one resident used a program from the Department of Energy, and I couldn't get them on the phone to validate this. But I know that the Department of Energy also does assist with solar energy on the roof, and oftentimes with the solar panels, because the roof has to be intact to install the solar panels, they have to repair the roof first to install so you kind of get like a 2-for-1. If you want the solar panels, they have to repair the roof to install them. So that is one way to address that. But the issue with the resident in the article was that the interior of the home, the roof was still peeling, like the paint, the interior damage was already done. And that's what they were waiting for the assistance for. So Alex, I don't know if you could, if you see that article from the Washingtonian, to put into the chat there as well. But those are some options. So this one is, and then Habitat for Humanity partners with the organization as well for some repairs. Women that renovate, I believe, but I have to give you the specific name for that program. Oh, let me go back. Okay. And then as well on the housing assistance side, these are 3 contacts that myself and my colleagues have utilized: the housing assistance, rental assistant placement through Housing Etc. have been really great with one of my colleagues in identifying housing once you do qualify for the voucher. And then this is a contact that my colleague has used at the DC Housing Authority as well. And lastly, caring.org is a great organization that us as agents have utilized too to help identify for housing placement. Okay, Ms. Brenda, I see you have your hand up for a question or a comment.
Yes, we have to ask them to unmute Kristen, but I also put the senior home repair link. It doesn't have too much information, but the number is there to call. And then I also put the single family residential program info in the chat as well.
All right, thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, Brenda, did you have a question about what Kristen just went over?
I saw that she is working with condos and apartments. Is she also working with co-ops?
You know, I have not had any experience with co-ops, to be honest, Miss Brenda. I would have to ask some of my agents and my brokerage to see what their experience are with co-ops in the
Okay.
city in DC.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I will put that just like I did last week. I will look into it, and once we find the answer, I'll get back to you and then share accordingly with the group when we return.
Thank you, Kristen.
My pleasure. Okay. So now we've identified where you're going. You started with the bulk trash. We're kind of paring down even more. 3 to 1 month out is the extreme declutter, really paring down to what you're taking with you. With the decluttering, we use a color code system. We also provide for our clients like a timeline and a cheat sheet for organizations where you can make donations. They're really too many to list. So for this stage, if you have questions specifically about organizations, or if you want to share them in the chat that you work with, but some of the organizations that we partner with provide suits for gentlemen who are going on interviews to come out of shelters into private housing. We also donate to, you know, of course, the Salvation Army and veterans as well. But it really just depends on what you have, where it can go. What we try to steer away from, unless you have assistance, is with like Facebook Marketplace and places like that where you're not quite sure the people who are coming in. Now, I have used Facebook Marketplace, and I've used some of those Upcycle, that's another good one. I have used Facebook Marketplace and some of those other public websites for myself personally, as well as my aunt has. But we want to create a specific system for who they contact, how to negotiate, and who is present when they pick it up, just for safety reasons. And we definitely want to make sure that there are legitimate buyers. So we would assist you with that if that's something that you wanted to do to sell the items to make money. We have other ways in addition to, you know, people coming to pick it up. You could go to a neutral place to sell it and make some extra cash as well. But the color coding system that we use, green means go, got to go, get it out of here, trash, bulk trash, however you want to get rid of it, donations. The yellow is the pause for the cause. The yellow, maybe you're still trying to decide if you want to give, if someone could that you know directly in your sphere of influence could benefit from the item. And so it kind of goes in the maybe. And then the red means stay, don't touch it, don't put it out in the yard sale, don't put it on marketplace. This is coming with me, all right? Now, when we get to red means stay, we also want to make sure that if it's a sentimental piece, that you are reserving the most important piece of it. So for instance, one of the things when my parents transitioned, my father had a lot of ties. And so we organized the ties, put numbers on them, numbers 1 through, he probably had about 40 ties. We took a picture of the ties with the numbers on them, and we sent them to my cousins, his nephews, the deacons at the church, and everybody was allowed to say, oh, I want tie number 3, or I want tie number 4. So instead of keeping the ties, we kept the picture of the ties, and then we know who received each tie. So my cousin Bo, for instance, he picked tie number 2. Tie number 2, it was his fraternity colors, and he wore his tie, my father's tie, at graduation. It kind of makes me emotional talking about it. But you know, we like the tie, we like to smell the tie. It reminded us of our dad. But what a cool way to really honor him, by passing the ties on to loved ones that cherished it. And it meant a lot to them. We have the pictures of the ties. We know who got each tie. And so that is something that you could institute during the yellow pause for the cause. So instead of taking all 50 ties with you, everybody doesn't go to church anymore. We don't go out as much as, you know, anymore formally. And you can give, you know, the ties away. The same thing with the hats, ladies and gentlemen. The same thing with the shoes, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to take all those shoes with you. Put the numbers on the shoes, pass them on or send them on. Take a picture, take the picture with you, and you have so much more space, because most of the time you're right sizing. It's not always downsizing. Sometimes you're moving to something with the same space, but it still doesn't mean you have to take everything with you. Okay, this is a great time to have a fresh start. So this is something I implore to everyone. And I don't know why I'm having trouble today. I'm gonna blame it on the children being home, that I wasn't able to.
Mouse is on the left, it goes left of the presentation. If your mouse is on the right, it goes to the right.
Oh, you know what? And I'm using I think that's what's happening. I think is where I'm positioning the clicks. Thank you, Alex.
Mhm.
I should know better. You know, my background's in STEM, but you know,
It's okay.
STEM doesn't cover everything. All right. So when you're scheduling the movers, a lot of the senior communities already work with moving companies. And the good thing about using the moving companies for the location that you're moving to for the senior communities is that they already are aware of the dimensions of the space that you're moving to. They're used to the dynamics of, you know, the elevator and the stairways and the hallways. And so, and they're used to working with this particular population. And so before hiring outside movers, and they usually all do provide affordable pricing as well. And so before you go and outsource a move, then I would definitely recommend that you check with the building and the concierge and those there to see what services are already there. Thank you, Alex. See, that worked well. All right, so that was it, because now you're moved and you're in your new space and you don't have to worry about the snow. You don't have to worry about the upkeep and the maintenance of the furnace or the this or the that. Or maybe you just want a fresh start and you want to be in a space where they're familiar with connecting you with other services at this stage of life. These are some additional who to call. If you or anyone who you know, if you know someone who you think may need some assistance, know someone who may be suffering from even elder abuse, then it definitely, I would call the DC Tenant Advocacy Group, or this is the AARP attorney as well. Timothy Dudley is one of my colleagues. He works in property management. If you decide to sell your home and you want to move into a senior community, I'm sorry, not sell it. If you decide you want to rent your home and move into a senior community, then Tim is a great person to talk to. Him and his family's been in property management for a long time. He's a realtor as well, not within my brokerage, but he's a great colleague. So we share resources and we work together in the community. And then the Office of Tenant Advocate. If you want to discuss rent control, rent issues, or if you have TOPA issues, as you are a protected class with first right of refusal, if you're in a building that is being sold, then you qualify by age to be offered the right to purchase the property that you live in before it's sold. You are offered that right first. And then if you say, it's out of your price point, or you didn't want to stay anyway, you had planned to move out, then you have that option to sign that out. I do see a hand, Mr. Gary.
Yes, I listening to what you were saying. I was trying to get the fee, get the idea of what is this about? As far as moving into this place, what is this? A realtor or something? Broker? You so far as is this something like an option to buy into something?
No. Okay. Yes. Well, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Mr. Gary. So I am
Yeah.
a real estate broker, and I'm licensed in Maryland, DC, and Virginia, Innovative Touch Realty. So my primary job is to work with clients on buying and selling, but we're very much about community engagement and advocacy. So I'm not selling anything to you. And I hope I'm not coming across as I'm trying to coerce anyone to sell their property. This is just an information segment on if you or anyone you know is interested in moving into a senior community, whether it be a fixed income community or a senior condo community or a senior home community. This is our suggested timeline for how you will go about preparing for a move. Our last presentation in November, we also presented an option of aging in place. If you didn't want to move and you want to stay in your home, and we provided some additional resources for what you can do to make your home comfortable because you like your community and your neighborhood and you don't want to go anywhere. So it's just, I'm not selling any particular community to you, but if anyone was interested in learning more about a community, and it doesn't even have to be purchasing, it could be renting, and you just have seen, communities build up in the city.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't know anybody that lives there. I want some more information, then we will assist you. But it's not this is not a sales presentation.
Is this like places in DC you're talking about?
So for this particular presentation in DC, but we also do the same presentation from Maryland. There are a whole lot of senior communities in Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and Charles County, and Maryland is actually number 8 in the nation for senior community living. And we're also licensed in Virginia as well. There are quite a few in Arlington and Alexandria.
And most of these places provide parking as well, as far as what type of parking? garage parking, what? I'm just trying to get the idea of what you're saying. I live in a building now. We have parking,
Mm-hmm.
garage parking. I pay for my parking every, once a month,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Uh, and
So,
where, and go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I'm living in a place now. I was just trying to get an idea. You were saying it's just like, and of course, I am a senior. This is a senior program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was just trying to find out, for what you were saying, uh, what is this basically about? I'm sort of getting the feel and idea of what you're saying now about, moving into these places. And I'm just trying to see, as I go along, listening to you, what the overall offerings are. Are there parking arrangements? Are there uh, other arrangements? I heard you say, far as the space arrangements as well in the area of that you move in, and affordable housing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
thank
so
you. Thank you so much for your question. Um, so our last presentation, I'm gonna go back.
And really quick, Kristen, so
Mhm.
Ms. Curry, again, thanks so much for coming on today and for your question. Yeah, just as a reminder, all of our sessions, we have our daily emails that come out. So it kind of go over what, who our presenters are for the week and such. So I would really recommend that you check those out so you can kind of get an idea of what will be covered.
right. I
Two,
wrote down, yeah, I'm
this
writing down the information, the number and everything, just to be on the curiosity safe side of it.
Yes, sir. And Kristen and Rashi's last session in November was posted to our YouTube channel. So after today's session, I would recommend that you check that video out to see that aging in place portion that Kristen was just talking about. So I just wanted to let you know that information as well. Okay.
Okay, because I might have missed that first presentation
Yeah,
back
it
then.
was in
But
November,
like I
so it
say,
has been quite a minute. So I would just
because
recommend
I'm
you check
fairly
that video
busy.
out.
Right, I'm fairly busy at times.
Yeah, you
Other
all are
things.
busy. I would say
Yeah,
everyone that reached out is busy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to catch up if you don't already know, because my mother-in-law is the same way. She has a water aerobics on one day. She does this. I mean, she's very
right.
busy, her and my father-in-law. But yes, the last presentation, we talked about the differences between the senior condos and the senior apartments, and then the senior houses, and aging in place in your house, and the kind of, not necessarily the pros and cons of each, but some of the benefits of each, and then the
Yeah,
price point for each. And one thing that is usually consistent, Mr. Gary, since you asked specifically about parking, is that most of I would say that the communities are pretty consistent in providing parking as well as access to healthcare, whether it be like a nurse or doctor or medical provider, either on site or within the community. And so, and also transportation for even those who do not have cars. What's been pretty consistent is that they do provide transportation services as well. But each community is different. So if you have a particular community in mind, or if this presentation kind of brings to your forefront, oh yeah, I have been wondering about this particular community, then we are happy to talk one-on-one and share with you, what that community offers, as well as other similar communities in the area, because some of
okay.
them do have garage parking, some of them have open, assigned parking, some of
Yes,
the houses have garages in them. So it just really varies, but you
yeah.
are welcome to call, and we can kind of go on a case-by-case basis, even if out of curiosity, you want to see what one of the inside looks like, or have an idea of what's offered at a particular community, then we can answer some of your questions.
I appreciate that. That sounds very, very interesting. And like I said, I have wrote down the information on the property management and sales of the broker in the real estate. an extension number that with that Timothy A. Dudley.
So Tim is one of, Tim is one of the agents that works with me at another brokerage for rent, for property management. But this is our information for myself, Kristen, and Rashi, who joined me not last month, in November. And both of us have been diligently kind of making connections within the senior community. So you can write
Okay.
my number down or his number.
Yeah, I'm writing that down now.
Don't forget, you
Just-
can also take a screenshot as well, Mr. Gary, in case you need to do that, okay?
Oh yeah, this is wild tech. Yes.
Okay. Innovative touch reality.
But did Kristen answer all of your questions, Mr. Gary?
Yes, she did. I was just interested because I had been working with this in the past years ago when my wife was around, and we had been trying to get a house and other things, information. I went to a few seminars, but they didn't come through anything that I could really get any satisfaction out of. And I was really trying to, at the time, get into affordable housing option to buy, but it didn't work out as well. And now I'm on my own because of my wife passing away just August of last year. And so that's the only reason why when I hear these things, I get interested, because I say, hey, it ain't too late to think about these things. And I thank you very much for your information.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Gary.
All right.
So Kristen, did you say this was the end of your session for today?
Yes, that's the end of the session for today. I know we did again have a inquiry about the reverse mortgage. And so that is something that we still are looking into. We just thought it was important to kind of put this first before bringing that up. But yeah, well, I'm glad to be here again and see everyone. Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Brenda, for having your camera on, because I've been looking at you a lot during the presentation. And I appreciate your engagement.
Yes, and just to note, I remember you sending us some information about what you'll be covering. So on our schedule, we actually kind of had you planned to talk about estate planning and wills and talking about a legacy. So is that something that you have in addition for next time, or what do you think?
Yes, we can actually do that one next. The whichever the group consensus is, the wills and legacy planning we could do next, or the reverse mortgage. We are open. We're here to serve. So
Well, we appreciate that. I think it would be a good idea for that, because you just talked about, the process, but, now you can talk about the financial aspect of that as well. So again, thank you so much for coming on to today's session. Do we have any last questions for Kristen about anything that she had went over today? Any general questions? Please raise your hand. But again, we thank you so much for coming on. Ms. Martinez said you did excellent, and I certainly agree as well.
thank you.
And
Thanks so much.
yeah, we look forward to your next presentation. Brenda, you had a question before we end for the day?
No, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to add to the, if you're working on your house and trying to get it taken care of, another good program is Yahad. They worked on my house some years ago. So, the only requirement was I had to attend some classes and they mapped out a plan of what they were going to do, and they took care of it. Yeah. So
Yahad, you say?
Yahad, Yachad.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, Yahad. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly.
all
Yeah, but
right.
it's Yachad. And I don't have the phone number, but they're great too. They're good organization as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. I would
Sure.
definitely add them, and I'm sure Alex will track down the number because he.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on, Brenda. And
Sure. Thank you.
So again, until next time, Kristen, again, thank you so much for coming on to today's session. I hope you have a safe rest of your week with all the snow, and also to the others as well. But we look forward to your next session. So let's all thank Kristen for her time today.
Thank you, Chris.